Konnichiwa, and welcome back to Maple Sumo's coverage of the Haru Basho Day 5. No Kyujos today to get through other than a return, so we'll get straight into the results. First up, Kotoeho and Mitakeumi, both at 2 and 2, meet up. Mitakeumi managed to keep Kotoeho off the belt and looked to be in a good position with a left-hand grip, but Kotoeho kept up the pressure, moved his hand inside, and managed to stay low to force him out at the edge there. So he goes up to 3 and 2. Mitakeumi looking a little bit weak, and after his initial strong start, has had 3 losses in a row. Chiyoshoma is up against Fuji Ryoga. Chiyoshoma delivered several big slaps right off the hop, but Fuji Ryoga stayed steady, moved straight forward in, and pushed him out and down at the edge. He goes up to 3 and 2, mirroring the other man's 2 and 3. Kinbozan met up against Fuji Seiyun. Kinbozan at 2 and 2, Fuji Seiyun at 3 and 1. Kinbozan started off with just brilliant 2-arm thrusts right to the head and face to move Fuji Seiyun straight out quickly. Both men are now at 3 and 2. Tobizaru, the flying monkey, comes up against Asahakuryu. Tobizaru is only at 1 and 3, while Asahakuryu mirrors that at a 3 and 1. They've only fought each other once before, with Tobizaru losing, and he tried 3 tricky leg sweeps before finally getting wrapped up and marched out again. So he drops to 1 and 4. Asahakuryu is part of the second place chase pack at 4 and 1. Next up is Nishiki Fuji at 3 and 1 versus Asanoyama, who's at an even 2 and 2. Nishiki Fuji came in fast, but Asanoyama is so sturdy. He just stayed steady, let Nishiki Fuji flail around. He did this weird kind of like 1 foot up, half-hearted, jumpy, weird push thing that I have no idea what he was going for, but he just completely threw himself off balance and finally slipped and collapsed in the middle of the ring with Asanoyama on top of him. So both men are now 3 and 2. Next is Asakuryu at 3 and 1 versus Roga at 2 and 2. These guys have met a couple times in the past and are even at 1 and 1, both with Kotanage wins. Asa tried a weird leaping henka to the left that was unsuccessful, but he was able to turn and quickly dart in, following it up, and got a deep right-hand grip and forced out Ryoga. So, it wasn't the typical dodge and slap down win from a henka, but he was able to dodge to the side and then get in, and Roga was just so out of position there was no recovering. Next up, Gonoyama at 3 and 1 against the winless Osho Umi. Gonoyama started with his typical hard thrusting aggression. Normally he's all about the hands, but he started his career as a belt guy, and this time, after getting some initial thrusts in, he quickly transitioned to a belt grip and gave a bit of the old hug and chug. Managed to get low and actually get enough of a grip to lift and destabilize Osho Umi, eventually moving him to the edge and crushing him out. Osho Umi yet to pick up a win at 0 and 5. I don't know what's going on with him, but Gonoyama stays as part of the chase pack at 4 and 1. Next is Toki Hayate versus Shishi. Both men came in at 2 and 2. They mirrored each other's moves off the Tachiai, but Shishi managed to get a left-hand inside grip and used that built momentum to drive Toki Hayate out, so he goes up to 3 and 2. Ura at 3 and 1 comes up against Tamawashi, who's still winless, but Tamawashi came out fired up. He didn't move forward much at the Tachiai, but just started into some really strong Supari and hammered Ura out of the ring. He just got his hands moving and just marched him right out for his first win of the Basho. So he goes up to 1 and 4, and Ura down to 3 and 2. Oshoma at 2 and 2 comes up against Shodai at 3 and 1. Now, Shodai has fought this guy 8 times and only managed to take 1 win off of him in history. But in this case, off the Tachiai, Oshoma deflected Shodai, attempted a little Totari arm pull, but Shodai managed to recover, slip his arm out, turn around, grabs Oshoma by the neck, and with 2 quick attempts, pulls him to the ground for his 4th win of the tournament, staying part of the chase pack there. Onokatsu comes back from his, you'll remember he had that left foot ankle injury that took him out for a couple of matches, so he is written down as 0, 2, and 2 up against 4 and 0 Takanosho. That is a rough one to come back to as your first fight. Takanosho just blasted him right to the edge immediately, bent him in half, and threw him on his face. You actually saw Onokatsu limping off. I don't think he should be here right now. I think he right now needs to take a couple more days off and get some strength back. But even when he was taking that attack from Takanosho, he tried to brace himself with his left ankle at the bales. It's just not there. It's just not. So I hopefully he drops again and gets some more rest, but we'll see. Next, Daisho at 1-3 comes up against Koto Shoho, who was at 4-0. And this was actually celebrating his 400th top division fight. Their heads collided in a loud bang right off the start, and they were both super tight to each other, with Daisho suddenly shifting slightly to the right and just slaps down Koto Shoho, who was just extended a little too far forward. To pick up his second win of the tournament, and Koto Shoho drops out of the lead. Now he's part of the chase pack at 4-1. Ichi Yamamoto with his 2-2 comes up against Oho, who's 1-3. Now, Oho does have a 6-2 lead in their matchups, and he's actually won the last 3 fights against him. And he started off with some great thrusting, but Ichi Yamamoto, who typically uses the advantage of his long arms, got in tight and pushed Oho to the edge and out with almost a single fluid motion. So he's up to 3-2. Hirata Umi at 3-1 comes in at Atami Fuji 2-2. Atami Fuji's size initially had him winning the fight almost immediately. He's just barreling through Hirata Umi, but right at the Tawara, Hirata Umi slipped to the left and jumped right in behind and pushed him out for that rear force out. So he maintains his position in the chase pack at 4-1. Yoshino Fuji at 2-2 comes up against unbeaten Papa Bear Takayasu, who's still 4-0. Taka has beaten. They faced each other 3 times. Takayasu beat him all 3 times with thrusting attacks, and everyone seemed to think, well, you've beaten him with that before. Let's go back to the well on that. But in this case, Takayasu, his body's moving incredibly well at the start of this Basho. He shot straight in, hard and fast, grabbed the belt, and marched him straight out. He's 4-0 against this kid and looking to be in really, really good form. We've seen this from him before, where he starts the tournament with a great record, but this time it seems like his body's actually doing what he wants it to do, and he's not getting weird wins. They're all like solid movement, solid performances that show why this guy was an Ozeki. Next is Kirishima chasing his re-promotion to Ozeki at 3-1 versus Wakamoto Haru, who is 0-4, still trying to get his first win. Their history in this matchup heavily favors Kirishima. Wakamoto Haru tried to slip to the side, grab an arm off the hop, and then when that didn't connect, he tried to thrust in, but Kirishima parried him to the right, shifted to his left, and slapped him down, and he's now 14-6 against Wakamoto Haru. So a pretty one-sided contest there. Next comes the most interesting fight of the day. Wakataka Kage at 1-3 versus Kotozakura at 3-1. Now, Koto has a 9-6 lead in their matchup historically. They came together hard. Both of them just mashed their bodies together, both grabbed belt grips. And Kotozakura's, though, he got in and instead of grabbing the belt itself, he actually grabbed the knot at the back of the mawashi. Now, as you can expect when you grab something like that, it pulled loose almost immediately, and so he was left holding onto the loose end of the mawashi. But the two of them were wrestling it out. Wakataka Kage moved him to the edge. He pulled back a little bit, and when they got back a little bit, they had a pause for a sec. So the Gyoji immediately jumped in. When this happens, he'll run up, he'll call something out, and both wrestlers will have to stop exactly where they are. They're not allowed to move. He comes around and he takes the belt out of Kotozakura's hands and retightens the belt. This is often done in cases where, like, just through the course of the fight, the belt comes loose anyways. And they basically do this to prevent what we'll call a wardrobe malfunction. Little known fact, one of the ways that you can lose a sumo match is if the audience sees your wiener, which sounds strange, but it can happen. I don't know. I could not tell you if it has happened anytime in the modern era, But yeah, one of the rules is if your Mawashi comes off, you lose. There's several non-techniques that someone else can win by, where your opponent is the one who gives up the win by doing something to get themselves disqualified, by for some reason touching the Basho, or no, sorry, not Basho, the dohyo with some part of their body accidentally, or in this case, having your Mawashi come loose. So Gyoji jumps in, tightens it back up, and then looking at the head judge, figures out a position to put Kotozakura's hand back on the belt in a proper position that actually gives him a much better grip. He's got a solid lower grip on the Mawashi itself, like on the belted part, not just on this loose little knot, which you would think would give Kotozakura a huge edge now that he's actually able to get a proper grip and proper leverage. The problem is, by the time this fight had stopped, Wakataka Kage had buried his head under the chin of Kotozakura, nestled deep in all four boobs. And as soon as the fight restarts, he's able to use that lower position and that leverage to his advantage to get under and push up and force Kotozakura's balance off and backwards and out of the ring. So, crazy fight to watch. Wakataka Kage goes up to 2-3 now, and Kotozakura back off the lead down to 3-2. Our second last fight of the day are our Yokozuna hopeful Aonishiki versus Fujinokawa. Both men come in at 2-2, but remember, Fujinokawa's 2 wins have both come against Yokozuna, and they've been back-to-back. Aonishiki, though, never lost 2 in a row when he's going up in the top division here. I don't know what happened, but Fujinokawa tried some weird little dipsy new move off the hop. I don't know if he's trying to like reposition and throw him off or something, but it just didn't do anything. And then Aonishiki comes in right off the hop, Fujinokawa gives up like an arm that Aonishiki immediately just like wraps up and holds onto for the rest of the fight. Fujinokawa tried a weird half-hearted little leg sweep, but he's just immediately like forced out by Aonishiki's typical low stance and lock on the body, where he's like, you're not going anywhere except out over that bail. So Aonishiki keeps his Yokozuna hopes alive with a win at 3-2. And the final match of the day, our boy Hoshoryu at 3-1 versus Chirano Umi at 2-2. Now, Chirano Umi came in and tried for a low front grip right off the hop, but was immediately shoved off of it by Hoshoryu. Hoshoryu comes up, wraps him up with a borderline bear hug, right hand in, left hand out, and then quick succession, pivots, throws him down to the clay in that typical beltless arm throw. Hoshoryu loves being a real wrestler's wrestler. You see so many more, because he's a smaller guy, seeing these throws from him just looks so like judo-like and manly, and not just like, I use my overwhelming weight to kind of rumble you out. Like, he looks technical out there, and that's what got him that rope in the first place. So, honestly, there are 3 people right now that I think would have an awesome win getting this. Obviously, Aonishiki to get his Yokozuna promotion, our boy Takayasu to get his first ever after this long, glorious career, and then Hoshoryu to lock down his first tournament as a Yokozuna. I think would be another great win for him. But things are still neck and neck. Hoshoryu and Aonishiki Hoshoryu's in part of the chase group at 4-1. Aonishiki's one behind that at 3-2. So still very much anything could happen. Takayasu, a great 5-0 start, but we'll see how things transition into the second week. We got the weekend coming up here, and that's always in this spring Basho when the storms start hitting the hardest. So let's see how things progress going into Friday's matches here, and follow us for more. This has been Maple Sumo, a no-plot, only lore production.